Lieutenant Maya Cross had mastered the art of looking interested while being completely bored out of her skull. She sat in the briefing room aboard the Cosmic Harmony, nursing her third cup of coffee and watching her alien crewmates engage in their weekly ritual of competitive bragging. The morning briefing had devolved into what she privately called the penis measuring contest, except half the species involved didn't even have penises. Commander Zak'thul, a 7-foot-tall Vorthan warrior with more muscles than brain cells, was currently holding court. His forearms gestured dramatically as he recounted his latest glorious victory for the 100th time. And then I said to the Krillian rebel, "You picked the wrong warrior to threaten," and I crushed his skull with my bare hands. That brought my confirmed kill count to 847. The other aliens around the table made appropriately impressed noises. Chief Navigator Block's car, who looked like a purple octopus wearing a uniform, tentacle clapped enthusiastically. Magnificent, Commander. Truly the stuff of legends. Maya took another sip of coffee and wondered if she could fake a medical emergency. Maybe appendicitis. Did humans still get appendicitis in the 32nd century? She'd have to ask the ship's doctor, assuming she could find him. Dr. Vex Lin had a tendency to experiment with consciousness-altering substances from various planets, claiming it was for medical research. "What about you, Cross?" Zak'thul's voice cut through her mental planning. "Surely our human representative has some combat experience to share." Maya looked up from her coffee to find 8 alien faces staring at her expectantly. She could practically see the anticipation in their eyes, like kids waiting for a story that would disappoint them. "Oh, you know, the usual stuff. Some training exercises, a few skirmishes here and there. Nothing worth bragging about." Zak'thul's mandibles clicked in what she'd learned was the Vorthan equivalent of a condescending chuckle. "Come now, Cross. Surely you've killed at least a few insurgents, a pirate or two? We're all warriors here." "I've been around," Maya said carefully. "Done my share of peacekeeping operations." "Peacekeeping," Zak'thul repeated, his voice dripping with disdain. "How delightfully safe. Tell me, have you ever actually killed anyone in combat, or do you just file reports about other people's kills?" The table erupted in barely suppressed laughter. Even Block's car was trying to hide his amusement behind his tentacles. Maya felt the familiar itch between her shoulder blades, the one that usually preceded someone having a very bad day. She forced herself to take another sip of coffee instead. "I've done my job," she said quietly. "I'm sure you have," Zak'thul said, his tone suggesting he was sure of the exact opposite. "But perhaps you should leave the real fighting to those of us who actually know what we're doing. Some of us have been warriors since before your species learned to make fire." Maya set down her coffee cup with deliberate care. "That's probably true, Commander. You've got a lot more experience than I do." "Exactly." Zak'thul preened, missing the subtle edge in her voice that made the ship's AI quietly back up all personnel files. 847 confirmed kills, Cross. That's the mark of a true warrior. Perhaps someday you'll understand what real combat looks like." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "I'm sure I will, Commander. I'm sure I will." The briefing continued with more posturing and storytelling, but Maya had tuned out completely. She was thinking about the 17 thumb drives in her quarters, each one carefully labeled and organized in chronological order. She was thinking about the looks on her crewmates' faces when they finally figured out who they'd been sharing a ship with for the past 6 months. Most of all, she was thinking about how much she was going to enjoy the next few days. The emergency klaxon interrupted what had to be the most boring discussion about supply requisitions in galactic history. Maya had been contemplating whether she could convince the replicator to make her coffee stronger when the red alert light started flashing, and Captain Mordak's voice crackled over the intercom. "All senior staff to the bridge. We have a code red situation." Maya followed the others to the bridge, where Captain Mordak, a dignified Altarian with skin like polished copper, was studying a holographic display that showed a small mining colony under attack. The display flickered with weapons fire and explosions. "We've received a distress signal from mining station Kepler 7, the captain announced. "They're under attack by Ravager pirates. Intelligence suggests at least 3 ships and approximately 60 hostiles." Maya felt her coffee suddenly taste better. Finally, something interesting. Ravagers. Zak'thul stepped forward, his forearms practically vibrating with excitement. Perfect. I haven't had a good fight in months. Captain, request permission to lead the away team. Granted, Commander. Select your team. Zak'thul's eyes gleamed as he looked around the bridge. I'll take Sergeant Krixtar, Lieutenant Vex Mol, and his gaze passed over Maya dismissively before settling on Ensign Yul Pak, and Ensign Yul Pak for technical support. I'd like to volunteer for the away team as well, Maya said quietly. The bridge went silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Zak'thul turned to stare at her, his mandibles clicking in what she was pretty sure was amusement. Cross, with all due respect, this is a combat mission against Ravager pirates. These aren't desk jockeys or peaceful protesters. Ravagers are some of the most vicious killers in the galaxy. They've been terrorizing the Outer Rim for decades. I understand that, Commander. Do you? Zak'thul's voice took on a patronizing tone, because Ravagers don't take prisoners, Cross. They kill everything that moves and then desecrate the bodies for fun. This isn't a training exercise or a peacekeeping mission. This is real warfare. Maya nodded patiently. I'm aware of the Ravager's reputation, Commander. Then you understand why I can't take you along. I need experienced fighters, not someone who's going to freeze up the moment the shooting starts. Zak'thul looked around the bridge for support. I mean, no offense, Cross, but your combat experience seems limited. None taken, Maya said, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, but I'd still like to volunteer. Captain Mordak cleared his throat. Commander, if Lieutenant Cross volunteers for the mission, I see no reason to deny her request. Her service record indicates she's qualified for combat operations. Zak'thul's expression suggested he thought the captain was making a mistake, but he nodded reluctantly. Fine. But I'm not babysitting anyone. If you can't keep up, you stay on the shuttle. Understood, Commander. An hour later, Maya found herself in the armory, methodically checking her equipment while listening to Zak'thul hold court with the other team members. He was explaining, in great detail, how he planned to show these Ravager scum what a real warrior looks like. The key is aggression, he was saying, gesturing with a plasma rifle that was probably worth more than most planets' GDP. You hit them hard, you hit them fast, and you don't give them time to think. I've killed 847 enemies using exactly this strategy. Maya tested the weight of her sidearm, checked the charge on her rifle, and made sure her combat knife was properly secured. Her movements were economical, practiced, and completely automatic. She'd done this dance so many times she could probably do it in her sleep. What about you, Cross? Zak'thul called out. What's your strategy for dealing with hardened killers? Maya looked up from her equipment check. I usually ask them politely to surrender first. The armory erupted in laughter. Even Sergeant Krixtar, who usually took everything seriously, was chuckling behind his face mask. That's good, Cross, Zak'thul said, wiping tears from his eyes. Really good. Maybe after we're done with the real fighting, you can file a report about our aggressive negotiations. Maya smiled and went back to her equipment. She was thinking about the last time someone had called her fighting style aggressive negotiations. That had been Colonel Harrison, right before the Battle of Proxima Station. He'd been laughing then too, right up until he watched her single-handedly clear 3 decks of enemy combatants. Harrison wasn't laughing by the end of that fight. Neither was anyone else. Maya finished her equipment check and stood up, slinging her rifle across her back with practiced ease. You're ready when you are, Commander. Try to keep up, Cross, Zak'thul said, heading toward the shuttle bay. And try not to get yourself killed. I don't want to explain to the captain why I brought back a human-shaped hole in the ground. Maya followed the team toward the shuttle, her expression calm and professional. She was looking forward to the next few hours more than she'd looked forward to anything in months. It was going to be educational for everyone involved. The mining colony looked like a war zone, which made sense because it was a war zone. Smoke poured from burning buildings, bodies littered the streets, and the distinctive whine of plasma weapons echoed through the air. Maya crouched behind a cargo container, watching Zak'thul gesture dramatically while explaining his tactical genius to the team. "We'll split into 2 groups," he was saying. "I'll take the main complex with Kriegstar and Vexmal. Ross, you and you'll pack secure the perimeter buildings. Try to stay out of trouble." Maya nodded agreeably while mentally cataloguing the 17 different ways she could clear the entire complex in under 10 minutes. "Roger that, Commander." The first group of Ravager pirates appeared around the corner 30 seconds later, and Maya got her first good look at the enemy. They were everything their reputation suggested, hulking, scarred, and armed to the teeth. Their leader, a massive creature with cybernetic implants covering half his face, was dragging a colonist behind him by the hair. Fresh meat. The pirate leader roared, spotting the away team. He killed the soldiers, take the pretty ones alive. 20 pirates opened fire simultaneously, turning the air into a light show of plasma bolts and projectile rounds. Maya dove left, rolled behind a concrete barrier, and came up shooting. Her first shot took the pirate leader in the head, dropping him instantly. Her second shot punched through the chest of a Ravager trying to flank Yule Pack. "Contact," Zak'thul shouted, apparently feeling the need to announce what everyone already knew. He charged forward, roaring a battle cry that probably sounded impressive on his homeworld, but mostly reminded Maya of a broken garbage disposal. Maya, meanwhile, had slipped around the right flank while the pirates were focused on Zak'thul's dramatic charge. She came up behind 3 Ravagers who were setting up a heavy weapons position and introduced them to her combat knife. The first pirate didn't even have time to scream. The second managed a surprised grunt before Maya opened his throat. The third spun around just in time to catch her blade between his ribs. "How are there so many of them?" Yule Pack shouted over the gunfire. "Standard Ravager tactics," Maya replied, picking up the heavy weapon the pirates had been setting up. "They overwhelm with numbers and brutality." She checked the weapon's charge. "Fortunately, they're not very good at it." The heavy weapon was some kind of plasma cannon, definitely not standard issue but definitely effective. Maya braced it against her shoulder and fired into a group of pirates who were trying to surround Zak'thul's position. The blast vaporized 3 of them and sent the rest diving for cover. "Nice shot, Cross," Zak'thul called out, sounding genuinely impressed for the first time since she'd met him. "Thanks," Maya replied, already moving to a new position. She'd spotted a sniper in the building across the street and was calculating angles. "By the way, Commander, you might want to watch your 6. "My what?" Maya put a rifle round through the sniper's scope, just as he was lining up a shot on Zak'thul's back. The sniper's head snapped back, and he toppled off the roof. "Your 6. "Behind you." The firefight continued for another 15 minutes, but Maya could see it was already over. The pirates had expected to fight peacekeepers, not someone who'd been doing this since before most of them were born. She moved through the battle like she was following a choreographed dance, always in the right place at the right time, always 2 steps ahead of the enemy. When the shooting finally stopped, Maya counted bodies while the rest of the team caught their breath. 43 pirates dead, 0 friendly casualties. Not bad for a morning's work. "How many did you get, Cross?" Zak'thul asked, still breathing hard from the fight. Maya looked up from the Ravager she'd been checking for intelligence. "I wasn't really keeping count, Commander. Maybe 15 or 20? Zak'thul's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. 15 or 20. Not bad for your first real combat. Maya smiled and went back to searching bodies. She hadn't bothered to mention that she'd killed 37 of the 43 pirates herself, and that this was possibly the easiest fight she'd had in the past decade. The pirates had been sloppy, predictable, and far too confident in their reputation. They reminded her of someone she knew, actually. Someone who was very proud of his kill count and very fond of telling everyone about it. "We should sweep the buildings," Maya suggested. "Make sure there aren't any more pirates hiding." "Good thinking," Zak'thul said. "You're learning, Cross, you're learning." Maya nodded and headed toward the main complex, already planning her approach. She was thinking about the conversation they'd had that morning, about real warriors and confirmed kills, and who understood what combat looked like. She was also thinking about how much she was going to enjoy the next few hours. The shuttle ride back to the Cosmic Harmony was uncomfortably quiet. Maya sat in the back, cleaning her rifle and pretending not to notice the way her teammates kept glancing at her. The mining colony sweep had gone even better than the initial firefight, if better, and more educational for everyone involved. They'd found another 60 pirates holed up in the colony's buildings, and Maya had suggested they split up to cover more ground efficiently. Zak'thul had agreed, probably thinking it would give him more opportunities to demonstrate his legendary combat skills. Instead, he'd gotten to listen to Maya systematically clear 3 buildings while he was still trying to breach the first one. "Cross," Zak'thul said finally, his voice carefully neutral. "We need to talk." "Sure, Commander." "What about?" "About what happened back there." Zak'thul's forearms gestured vaguely, "about how you handled yourself." Maya looked up from her rifle. "Did I do something wrong?" "Wrong?" "No, you," Zak'thul paused, searching for words. "You killed 43 pirates, Cross. In less than an hour. Most of them with headshots." "The head is usually the most efficient target," Maya agreed. "Center mass works too, but headshots guarantee the kill." "That's not the point." Zak'thul's voice rose slightly. "The point is that you just fought like what, Commander?" "Like someone who's done this before. A lot before." Zak'thul leaned forward. "So I'm going to ask you again, Cross. What's your real combat experience?" Maya set down her rifle and considered her answer. She'd been wondering when this conversation would happen. It had taken longer than she'd expected, honestly. Usually people figured it out after the first firefight. "You want the truth, Commander?" "Yes, I want the truth." "The truth is that I've been doing this for 23 years. I enlisted when I was 18, served in the Terran colonial wars, the siege of New Singapore, the Proxima Station incident, and about 50 other conflicts that you've probably never heard of." Maya's voice remained calm and conversational. "I've been shot, stabbed, blown up, and declared dead twice. I've fought humans, aliens, robots, and things that don't fit into any of those categories." The shuttle was completely silent except for the hum of the engines. Even Yulpak had stopped pretending to read his technical manual. "The reason I don't talk about it much," Maya continued, "is because most people find it disturbing. Humans have been perfecting the art of killing each other for about 10,000 years, Commander. We've turned warfare into a science, and some of us have gotten very, very good at it." "How good?" Zak'thul asked quietly. "Good enough that what happened today felt like a training exercise. Good enough that I spent most of the fight trying not to make you all look incompetent." Maya picked up her rifle again. "Good enough that 43 pirates with a bloodthirsty reputation just became a footnote in my week." Sergeant Kriegstar, who hadn't spoken during the entire mission, finally found his voice. "You're saying that fight was easy for you?" "Easy isn't the right word. Familiar, maybe. Predictable." Maya started field stripping her rifle with practiced efficiency. Ravagers rely on intimidation and overwhelming numbers. They're used to fighting civilians and lightly armed security forces. They're not used to fighting someone who's been doing this longer than they've been alive. "But they're supposed to be some of the most dangerous pirates in the galaxy," Vexmol protested. "According to who?" "Their marketing department," Maya laughed. "Commander, the most dangerous human conflict in recent history was the Battle of Titan. We lost 3 million people in 6 hours, 3 million. And that was just humans fighting other humans over mining rights." The shuttle was quiet again. Maya could practically hear the mental calculations happening as her crewmates tried to process what she'd just told them. "You're saying humans are more dangerous than Ravagers?" Zak'thul asked. "I'm saying that calling Ravagers dangerous is like calling a house cat dangerous because it can catch mice. Technically true, but it misses the bigger picture." Maya reassembled her rifle with mechanical precision. "Humans don't fight for glory or honor or territory. We fight because we're good at it, and because we enjoy solving problems with violence." "That's terrifying," Yulpak whispered. It's efficient, Maya corrected. And it's why the Galactic Council was so eager to have humans join the peacekeeping forces. We're very good at bringing peace to situations that don't want to be peaceful. Zak'thul stared at her for a long moment. Your kill count, Cross? What's your real kill count? Maya considered the question. Solo kills? Team kills? Confirmed kills? Probable kills? Kills where I was the primary cause of death, but didn't pull the trigger myself. All of it. I stopped counting after the first 5 years, Commander. The paperwork was getting excessive. Maya slung her rifle over her shoulder. But if you're really curious, I keep detailed records. Documentation is important for after-action reports. The shuttle docked with the Cosmic Harmony, and Maya stood up to disembark. She paused at the hatch and looked back at her teammates. For what it's worth, Commander, you're not a bad fighter. You're just not a human fighter. There's a difference. She headed for the armory to check in her equipment, leaving behind 5 very quiet aliens who were suddenly seeing their human crewmate in a completely different light. Maya was in her quarters, updating her personal logs, when the door chimed. She looked up from her terminal to see Zak'thul standing in the doorway, looking like he'd been wrestling with existential questions and losing. The Commander. What can I do for you? I've been thinking about what you said on the shuttle, Zak'thul said, stepping into the room. About your kill count. About documentation. What about it? I need to know, Cross. I need to understand. Zak'thul's voice carried an urgency that Maya found mildly interesting. My confirmed kill count is 847. I've been fighting for 30 years, and I'm considered one of the greatest warriors in Vorthan history. Maya saved her log entry and turned to face him. That's very impressive, Commander. Is it? Because after today, I'm starting to think that maybe it's not. Zak'thul's mandibles clicked nervously. You said you stopped counting after 5 years. What was your count then? N. Maya considered the question. You really want to know? Yes. And? Are you sure? Because some knowledge changes how you see the universe, and you can't go back. I'm sure. Maya stood up and walked to her personal storage locker. She entered her access code and pulled out a small, neatly labeled thumb drive. This is folder 1, she said, holding up the drive. It contains documentation of my confirmed kills from my first deployment. Just the first deployment, mind you, before I got really good at this stuff. She handed the drive to Zak'thul, who stared at it like it might explode. Go ahead, Maya said. Plug it in. Zak'thul inserted the drive into Maya's terminal, and files began populating the screen. Lots of files. An overwhelming number of files, each one carefully categorized and cross-referenced. 2,847 confirmed kills, Maya said conversationally. That's from my first 6-month deployment to the Kepler system. I was 19 years old and still learning the job. Zak'thul's eyes widened as he scrolled through the files. Each entry contained detailed information, target identification, method of elimination, tactical situation, and in many cases, security footage or sensor data. This is impossible, he whispered. No one kills this many enemies in 6 months. You're right. It was unusually busy deployment. Maya pulled out another thumb drive. This is folder 2. My second deployment. I was stationed on the frontier during the Colonial Rebellion. Things got interesting. She set the drive on the desk next to 16 others, all neatly labeled and organized chronologically. 17 deployments, Maya said. Not counting my time as an instructor, my stint with special operations, or the classified missions that officially never happened. She sat back down at her terminal. And just so we're clear, Commander, these are solo kills. They don't include team operations, command responsibility kills, or situations where I was the primary cause of death, but didn't personally pull the trigger. Zak'thul was still staring at the screen, scrolling through kill after kill after kill. How is this possible? How does one person kill so many enemies? Practice, Maya said simply. And the fact that humans have been fighting wars since before we discovered fire. We're not just good at it, Commander, we're evolutionarily optimized for it. But this many kills? In 6 months? The Kepler system was experiencing what we call a target-rich environment. Lots of pirates, lots of rebels, lots of people who thought they could intimidate the new human peacekeepers. Maya pulled up another file. I was young, I was eager to prove myself, and I had excellent equipment. It was a learning experience. Learning experience. Zak'thul's voice cracked slightly. Mostly I learned that I was really good at killing people, and that I probably shouldn't mention it at parties. Tends to make people uncomfortable. Maya closed the file. These days I try to be more diplomatic, hence the coffee and the modest answers about my experience. Zak'thul was quiet for a long moment, still staring at the screen. Your species terrifies me, Cross. We terrify ourselves sometimes, Commander. That's why we're so good at it. Maya stood up and began collecting the thumb drives. But if it makes you feel better, most humans aren't like me. Most humans never see combat. Most humans live peaceful, boring lives and never hurt anyone. But you're not most humans. No, I'm not. Maya locked the drives back in her storage locker. I'm the human that other humans send when they want someone to stop being a problem. And permanently. Zak'thul ejected the thumb drive and handed it back to her. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. Because you needed to understand why today felt easy for me. And because I'm tired of pretending to be something I'm not. Maya pocketed the drive. I'm not a desk jockey, Commander. I'm not a bureaucrat or a diplomat or a file clerk. I'm a soldier. I'm very good at my job. And my job is making bad people stop being bad people. By killing them. By whatever means necessary. But yes, usually by killing them. It's efficient, it's permanent, and it sends a clear message to anyone else who might be considering similar career choices. Zak'thul was quiet for another long moment. 847 kills. I was so proud of that number. You should be proud of it, Commander. 847 confirmed kills is the mark of an exceptional warrior. It's just not the mark of a human warrior. Maya smiled. Different species, different standards. What's your total count, Cross? All deployments, all kills. Maya considered the question. I honestly don't know, Commander. I stopped keeping a running total after the 10th deployment. The numbers started to feel abstract. More than 10,000. Considerably more. Zak'thul left her quarters without another word, and Maya went back to her personal logs. She had a feeling that the next few days were going to be very interesting indeed. Maya was enjoying her morning coffee in the mess hall when she noticed the change. The usual breakfast crowd was there, but something was different. The conversation was quieter, more subdued. Several aliens kept glancing in her direction, and then quickly looking away when she noticed. Morning, Cross, Captain Mordag said, sliding into the seat across from her. How's the coffee today? Same as always, Captain. Barely adequate, but caffeinated. Maya took another sip. Something I can help you with? Just wanted to check in. Commander Zak'thul submitted his mission report yesterday. Very thorough. Maya nodded. It was a good mission. Clean extraction. No friendly casualties. All objectives achieved. Yes, it was. It was also apparently quite educational for the crew. Captain Mordak's expression was carefully neutral. I've been getting some interesting questions about human combat doctrine. The questions like what? The questions like whether we should be concerned about having a human on the crew. The questions like whether you represent a typical example of human military capability. The questions like whether the Galactic Council knows what they're dealing with when they recruit from Earth. Maya finished her coffee and considered her response. What did you tell them, Captain? I told them that your service record speaks for itself. I told them that you'd been an exemplary officer for the past 6 months. And I told them that anyone who has a problem with having a human on the crew is welcome to discuss it with me personally. I appreciate the vote of confidence, Captain. Don't mention it. But I will say this, Cross. A word is spreading about what happened on that mining station. About how you handled yourself. About your background. Captain Mordak leaned forward slightly. Some of the crew are wondering if they should be worried about you. Are you worried about me, Captain? Should I be? Maya considered the question seriously. I'm exactly the same person I was a week ago, Captain. I just don't have to pretend to be someone else anymore. That's not entirely reassuring, Cross. It's not supposed to be. But I will say this. I've never killed anyone who didn't deserve it. I've never used excessive force against a friendly, and I've never compromised a mission for personal reasons. Maya stood up and picked up her tray. I'm a soldier, Captain. I'm a very good soldier, but I'm your soldier, and I follow your orders. And if I ordered you to stand down, to let someone else handle the next combat mission, then I'd stand down. But I'd also respectfully suggest that you're wasting your most effective asset. Maya smiled. Besides, Captain, after what happened yesterday, I think you're going to have volunteers fighting each other to stay behind while I handle the dangerous stuff. As if summoned by her words, the emergency klaxon began wailing. Captain Mordak's communicator crackled to life. Captain to the bridge. We have another distress signal, a pirate attack on a passenger transport. Maya and the captain exchanged glances. More pirates? Maya asked. Apparently. Different group this time. The Iron Reapers. Yes? Maya's smile widened. Oh, I've heard of them. They're supposed to be much more dangerous than the Ravagers. Across. Don't worry, Captain. I'll be gentle with them. Maya headed for the door. After all, I wouldn't want to traumatize the crew any more than necessary. 20 minutes later, Maya stood in the shuttle bay, fully equipped and ready for deployment. The rest of the crew was there too, ostensibly to see the away team off. In reality, they were there to watch her leave, and Maya could see the relief in their eyes. I'll take a small team, she announced. Just me and Ensign Yule Pack for technical support. Should be plenty. Are you sure, Cross? Captain Mordak asked. Intelligence suggests at least 100 hostiles. 100? That's barely worth getting dressed up for. Maya checked her equipment one last time. Besides, I've been meaning to break out some of the techniques from Folder 2. Haven't used those in a while. The shuttle bay was very, very quiet. I'll be back in a few hours, Maya said cheerfully. Try not to worry too much, and if anyone wants to know about human combat capabilities, they can ask me when I get back. I'll be happy to demonstrate. She boarded the shuttle with Yule Pack, who looked like he was going to his own execution. The bay doors opened, and the shuttle launched toward the distress signal. Behind them, the crew of the Cosmic Harmony watched their human crewmate disappear into the void, and every single one of them was thinking the same thing. They were very, very glad she was on their side. Maya, meanwhile, was thinking about Folder 2 techniques and wondering if she'd have an excuse to use the really interesting ones. The Iron Reapers had a reputation for being tough, but then again, so had the Ravagers. It was going to be a good day.